There comes a moment in every person's life when heaven leans in and everything begins to shift. And I'm here to tell you today, that moment for you is closer than you think. You may not see it yet. You may not feel it yet. But God is positioning things in your life with a precision that only divine hands can manage. He is aligning conversations, opportunities, people, and even delays to guide you toward a breakthrough that will not look ordinary, because the God behind it is not ordinary. Sometimes the greatest moves of God are hidden behind seasons that make no sense. Sometimes His power is wrapped inside the very struggles you begged Him to remove. But hear this with all your heart. God is about to show His power in your life in a way that leaves no room for doubt about who did it. There were moments you almost gave up, nights you cried quietly because you didn't want anyone to hear, days you felt like the weight on your shoulders was heavier than your strength. But God saw every tear, every silent battle, every moment you kept going when quitting felt easier. And He whispered, "Hold on, I am not finished with you yet." What you call pressure, God calls preparation. What you call delay, God calls timing. And what you call impossible, God calls effortless. Think about the times in Scripture when God stepped into impossible situations. He didn't show His power when things were comfortable. He showed His power when darkness was thickest, when the sea was too deep, too wide, too impossible, when the fire was too hot, when the giant was too strong, when the prison door was too heavy. And He did it so that every person standing nearby would have no explanation except God did this. And that is exactly what He is about to do for you. There are some of you listening who feel like your prayers are bouncing back at you. You wonder if God has forgotten you. You wonder if maybe you're asking for too much. But God's silence is not God's absence. He's working behind the scenes where your eyes cannot see. He's arranging the details you would not know how to arrange. He's opening doors you didn't even know existed. And He's closing doors that would have destroyed you had you walked through them. I want you to imagine something for a moment. Imagine the version of you 6 months from now. Stronger, more confident, healed in ways you never thought possible. Imagine looking back at this moment and realizing it was the turning point. The moment your faith rose higher than your fear. The moment you decided to believe that God's promise over your life was bigger than the storm in front of you. Because that moment is happening right now. This is the chapter heaven has been preparing you for. You may feel stuck, but God is not stuck. You may feel tired, but God does not grow weary. You may feel like you lost too much, waited too long, or failed too often, but God specializes in restoring what you thought was permanently gone. In fact, sometimes God lets things fall apart so He can rebuild them on a foundation that cannot be shaken. I've seen lives turn around in a single prayer. I've seen broken families restored in a moment only God could orchestrate. I've seen people who were on their last hope discover that God's first plan was waiting right around the corner. And I believe with all my heart that the same God who performed miracles then is about to perform one for you now. When God reveals His power, He does it in a way that humbles the proud, lifts the broken, and silences the enemy. When God steps in, the battle shifts from your hands to His. And when God fights for you, victory is not just possible, it's inevitable. You may feel surrounded by challenges, but greater is the one who surrounds those challenges. You may feel overwhelmed, but God is never overwhelmed. He is steady, He is sovereign, He is faithful. And He has not brought you this far to leave you halfway. There's a wind of change coming to your life. Not a gentle breeze, but a mighty, undeniable wave of God's strength. A kind of breakthrough that makes you say, only God could have done this. A kind of blessing that arrives not when you deserve it, but when you need it the most. A kind of healing that reaches not just your body, but your heart, your mind, and your inner world. Get ready, because God is about to breathe new life into the places where you felt empty. He's about to restore joy where sadness stayed too long. He's about to turn the pages of your story, and the next chapter will not read like the last. You are not forgotten. You are not overlooked. You are not abandoned. You are chosen, called, and deeply loved by a God who never breaks a promise. And He made you a promise. I will never leave you nor forsake you. When life shakes you, that promise stands firm. When fear whispers, that promise grows louder. When you don't know what comes next, that promise becomes your anchor. Lift your head, straighten your shoulders. Something is coming, something heaven sent. Something powerful, undeniable, and perfectly timed. God is about to reveal His strength in your weakness, His clarity in your confusion, His light in your darkness, His miracle in your situation. And when it happens, when the pieces finally come together, you will look back and say, now I understand. God was preparing me the whole time. Get ready, because the God of power, the God of miracles, the God who never fails, is about to show His power in your life. There are seasons in life when you look around and everything feels like it's pressing against you at once. The way seems blocked, the solution seems distant, and every step forward feels heavier than the last. And it's in those very moments when things feel most impossible that God prepares to reveal His greatest power. When you come to the end of your strength, that is where His strength begins to rise. When your resources run out, that is where His limitless provision steps in. When your ideas fade, His divine wisdom takes over. God is always specialized in stepping into situations that appear too far gone, too complicated, too overwhelming for human hands. He does this not to intimidate you, but to remind you that no matter how impossible the circumstances may seem, they are never impossible for Him. Think of the way He has moved throughout history. He didn't display His power in quiet, predictable moments. He revealed it in storms, in prisons, in lions' dens, in pens, in fiery furnaces, in deep waters, and in the hearts of people who had nothing left to depend on but Him alone. God waits until the darkness is thick so His light can be unmistakable. He waits until the enemy looks strong so His victory can be undeniable. He waits until your hands are empty so His abundance can be fully seen. He waits until you've exhausted every earthly idea so you can recognize that heavenly intervention was always His plan. There are moments when He allows the situation to stretch you beyond your comfort because He is preparing to show you a side of His power you have not yet experienced. Sometimes God doesn't make the challenge smaller. Instead, He increases your capacity to handle it. Sometimes He doesn't remove the mountain. He strengthens your faith so you can climb it. And sometimes He doesn't silence the storm. He teaches you how to stand in the rain without losing your peace. When things reach a point where you say, God, I can't do this anymore, heaven replies, now watch what I can do. You may not see how the situation can turn around. You may feel trapped in a cycle of setbacks, disappointments, or unanswered prayers. But the impossibility you see is the very stage God uses to reveal His glory. He doesn't need favorable conditions, perfect timing in human eyes, or a smooth path. He can make a way in the wilderness and carve rivers through dry land. He can bring life into what looks dead, hope into what feels broken, strength into what seems exhausted. When God decides to move, nothing can stop Him, and no obstacle can stand in the way of His purpose. The greatest transformations often begin in the moments that feel like breaking points. When the walls close in, when the answers don't come, when the waiting grows painful, when the fear whispers that you are out of options, but God sees what you cannot see. He sees the shift that is already forming behind the scenes. He sees the breakthrough that is hidden beneath the burden. He sees the miracle that is being shaped inside the very thing that feels like it's falling apart. And even when you're unaware, heaven is working details that will align perfectly when the time is right. There are battles you're fighting right now that feel bigger than you, but they are not bigger than God. There are questions you don't have answers to, but He is not confused or uncertain. There are challenges that seem impossible to overcome, but nothing is beyond His power. You may feel surrounded, but God surrounds what surrounds you. You may feel unprepared, but He equips those He calls. You may feel weak, but His strength becomes most visible when yours runs out. God doesn't reveal His greatest power when everything is stable, easy, and predictable. He reveals it when the odds are stacked against you, so that when the breakthrough comes, you will know without question that it was His hand, His grace, His timing, His intervention, His miracle, His power moving on your behalf. There are moments in your life when the pressure feels unexplainable, when the weight on your shoulders seems heavier than anything you've carried before, and you wonder why things can't simply fall into place the way you expected. But what feels like pressure to you is often preparation in the hands of God. Every delay, every closed door, every unexpected challenge is shaping you, stretching you, refining you for something greater than your present moment can reveal. God uses seasons of waiting not to punish you, but to prepare you for what He has already planned. There are blessings you're meant to carry, but He won't let you hold them until your character, your faith, and your endurance are strong enough to sustain them. Think of how gold is refined. It doesn't shine by accident. It is placed in fire, not to destroy it, but to purify it. The heat removes what doesn't belong so the value can be seen. In the same way, God allows certain fires in your life to strengthen what needs strengthening and to remove what you cannot carry into your next season. You may wonder why the pressure is lasting so long, why the situation is taking so much from you, why the answers seem delayed, but what you call delay, God calls timing. He knows what you're ready for and what you're not. He knows the version of you today cannot hold the weight of what He's preparing to give you tomorrow. So He molds you, He matures you, He deepens you, He builds a foundation under you that cannot be shaken. There are lessons you can only learn in waiting. There are strengths you can only gain in struggle. There are breakthroughs you can only appreciate after seasons of silence. God is not in a hurry because He is not forming something temporary in you. He is forming something eternal. You may feel frustrated because everything seems to be moving slowly, but God moves with precision, not speed. He is arranging the right people, aligning the right opportunities, closing the wrong doors, and shifting circumstances you don't even know about. What looks like nothing is happening is often when the most is happening behind the scenes. The pressure you feel is not a sign that God is far. It is often evidence that He is near. Pressure is what happens when God begins shaping you to fit the door He is about to open. If He opened it too soon, it would crush you. If He opened it too late, you might walk away. So He prepares you even when you don't understand the process. And though the process is uncomfortable, it is purposeful. You may feel like everything is being stripped from you, but sometimes God has to clear the space before He can build what He intends to place in your life. Sometimes He removes people not to leave you lonely, but to protect your future. Sometimes He delays opportunities not to discourage you, but to redirect you towards something far better. Every setback you've faced, every disappointment you've survived, every tear you've cried has been part of the shaping. You are not the same person you were last year, last month, or even last week. You've grown in ways you don't always notice. Your faith is deeper. Your resilience is stronger. Your wisdom is sharper. And even if you don't see it, heaven sees it. The pressure didn't break you. It built you. The delay didn't defeat you. It developed you. The struggle didn't stop you. It strengthened you. There will come a moment when what God has prepared will collide with what you have become, and everything will make sense. The doors that wouldn't open before will swing wide without resistance because now you're ready. The blessings that once felt too heavy will rest on you lightly because now your shoulders are stronger. The opportunities that once intimidated you will fit you perfectly because now your confidence is rooted in God, not circumstances. The preparation was never wasted. The waiting was never empty. The pressure was never pointless. It was shaping you for a breakthrough that requires the exact version of you He has been forming all along. There are seasons in your life when you pray, and it feels like heaven is silent. You try to move forward, but nothing shifts. You look for signs, but none appear. You wonder if God forgot you, if your prayers got lost somewhere in the noise of the world, if maybe you're standing still while everyone else is moving ahead. But what you cannot see is that God is working behind the scenes with a level of detail and intention that your human eyes are not designed to notice yet. Even when you feel stuck, God is not stuck. Even when you feel forgotten, He is focused. Even when you feel overlooked, He is orchestrating something far greater than your current moment can reveal. There is an entire realm of activity taking place in the background of your life that you are completely unaware of. Conversations are happening about you that you haven't heard yet. Opportunities are shifting into place that haven't reached you yet. People you haven't met are being prepared to play key roles in your future. Doors you don't know exist are being crafted for you. And breakthroughs you've been praying for are being assembled piece by piece. Just because you don't see movement doesn't mean nothing is moving. Just because you don't hear answers doesn't mean God is not speaking on your behalf. He often works quietly because quiet work produces the most powerful results. You feel forgotten not because God has turned away from you, but because He is busy arranging every detail with perfect timing. The moments that feel slow are often the moments when God is preparing something fast. The seasons that feel empty are often when God is filling your next chapter with more than you asked for. He is positioning you, aligning you, protecting you from paths that would have harmed you, and guiding you toward places you don't yet understand. What you interpret as absence is often His presence in its most strategic form. There are blessings you have prayed for that require divine coordination. Sometimes God has to move someone out of a position before He can put you into yours. Sometimes He must allow a door to close before you discover the one that leads to your purpose. Sometimes He keeps you waiting because He is preparing a version of you that will thrive in the very thing you're asking for. You think the delay means nothing is happening, but God is often the busiest in the moments you feel the most still. You may feel like your life is circling the same mountain, revisiting the same struggles, repeating the same lessons. But repetition is not a sign of abandonment, it's a sign of training. God trains you through cycles so that when the breakthrough arrives, you know how to carry it with wisdom and strength. Some blessings require emotional readiness. Some require spiritual maturity. Some require endurance. Some require healing in areas you stopped paying attention to. So God works in the shadows of your heart, repairing what was broken, rebuilding what was weak, restoring what was lost, even when you don't notice. Think about the times you narrowly avoided situations you didn't realize were dangerous. Think about the moments when you felt a nudge not to go somewhere, not to trust someone, not to take a certain step. Think about the unexpected protection that kept you from making decisions that would have had long-term consequences. That wasn't coincidence. That was God working behind the scenes. His protection is not always loud. His guidance is not always obvious. His preparation is not always visible, but it is always active. You may feel alone right now, but heaven is busy on your behalf. You may feel forgotten, but your name is being whispered in rooms you've never entered. You may feel stuck, but your breakthrough is already in motion. You may feel unseen, but God is watching every detail unfold with purpose. He has been present in every quiet moment, every silent prayer, every tear you didn't want anyone to see. And even in the stillness, even in the waiting, even in the uncertainty, He is aligning every piece of your life with a precision that will make perfect sense when the time comes. There comes a point in every journey when you begin to realize that nothing you went through was wasted. Every prayer you whispered in the dark, every night you cried without answers, every disappointment that left you breathless, every delay that stretched your hope thin, all of it was part of a divine pattern that only becomes clear when you look back from a higher place. You start to see how God was weaving strength into your spirit through every struggle, how He was shaping your character in moments you felt forgotten, how He was preparing you for blessings that required a deeper, wiser, more resilient version of yourself. And even though you didn't understand the process while living it, you begin to recognize the fingerprints of God all over your story. You realize that He never abandoned you. Even when you felt alone, He never ignored your prayers, even when answers were slow to appear. He never withheld His love, even on the days you questioned His silence. God was closer than your breath, steady in His purpose, faithful in His timing, gentle in His guidance. He allowed certain doors to close because they would have led you somewhere smaller than your calling. He let some people walk away because they were not meant to go where you are going. He delayed some blessings because He was preparing not just the blessing for you, but preparing you for the blessing. In the quiet, He was strengthening you. In the waiting, He was maturing you. In the battles, He was teaching you how to trust beyond what your eyes could see. Every experience, every tear, every lesson has shaped a version of you capable of carrying what He is about to release into your life. You are not the person you used to be. You have grown through storms that would have broken others. You have endured seasons that demanded more than you thought you had. You kept walking when you didn't understand the path. You kept believing when you didn't understand the plan. And heaven has seen it all. Now you stand on the edge of something new, something long awaited, something heaven planned. You may not feel ready, but God has made you ready. You may not see how it will unfold, but God has already written the next chapter. You may still feel the weight of past battles, but new strength is rising within you, strength born from experience, anchored in faith, shaped by the very struggles you thought would defeat you. What once felt like delay will soon be revealed as divine timing. What once felt like loss will show itself as protection. What once felt like confusion will become clarity. And as God moves, as things shift, as doors open, you will understand that none of it was random. Every moment had purpose. Every season had meaning. Every battle had victory hidden within it. And the God who stood with you in the struggle is the same God who will stand with you in the breakthrough. You are stepping into something prepared, something promised, something powerful. Heaven has not forgotten you. Your moment is closer than you think.